Welcome to History H113, Western Civilization 1. I am Professor Eric Sock. I'll be your instructor for this course, and I'm very much looking forward to this course, as I always do. This is the course I've taught even before I came to IUPUI back in 2004. I hope you will enjoy it for whatever reasons you might be here, and I know there are all types of reasons. I think it's probably the minority of you who were so excited to register for this course because you wanted to take a course in Western civilization since you were in third grade. But if you're in that category, welcome too. But for whatever reasons you're here, I'm glad you're here. I think this is a very important course, and I hope you'll get a lot out of it. And this is not really what I would consider a lecture right now. It could be in that I am talking to you, so that actually this is a lecture format. But this first lecture, posted as a video, is just to welcome you and to help get you started in terms of what do you do when classes start officially on uh, August 21st. That is what this is intended to do. Now, in the Canvas module, Welcome and Getting Started, the first document there listed is the PowerPoint slide for this lecture. If you want to follow along, you may. Certainly, that's why it's there. That's what the intent is. But it's not necessarily needed if you just kind of listen and follow along. Take notes on this because this is not something that you'll be examined on. But I think it is important that you get off to a good start. This is an asynchronous 100% online course, which means you can do it at your own pace. I'll be talking about that shortly a bit more. But if you start well, that will help you continue. And of course, with the goal being that you finish well. And there are different goals for finishing well, but I know one of them, or I assume that one of them for all of you, regardless of why you're here, is that you get a grade that you will be pleased with and satisfied with. But that will all come in due course. Now, so welcome, I guess, is what I'm saying. So, what should you do when you sit down for the first time to start this course? First thing to do would be to look at the modules, see how it's set up. And in this first module, Welcome and Getting Started, you will see a file with the syllabus. Now, the syllabus is also posted in course documents, the module course documents, and I'll be talking about that shortly. But that is a file, it's a Word file, and that is where the full syllabus is posted. In Canvas, I believe if you click on the tab syllabus, that will not take you to the actual file syllabus, which is in some ways more important for you. The Canvas tab syllabus will tell you when assignments are due. I'll be addressing that shortly as well. But the assignments in terms of what you should be reading, what is assigned per week, because this is a full semester course organized basically into 15 weeks. And the readings per week are given on the document, the Word document syllabus, as posted in Welcome and Getting Started, and the syllabus is posted in course documents. The syllabus is really important for you because it goes through lecture topics, it goes through readings per week. It will tell you what the discussion is, and on we go, and when the midterms are. Um, and that is really what you should begin with, is really thoroughly looking through the syllabus. The preliminary comments on the syllabus, such as the goals, the outcomes, are not necessarily essential, but I think they could be helpful and instructive for you to see at least what I consider to be the goals of this course, what my goals are for this course, my goals for you for this course, um, and then some of the basic parameters of the course. There's a statement there on cheating, which I hope everyone will read. Not that I'm expecting anybody to be cheating, but just so that you do not cheat unknowingly, so to speak, because that is the predominant way people get caught by cheating is when they don't really realize they're cheating. Cheating here also includes plagiarism, which I give a definition of on the syllabus in the preliminary sections, and also using a chat bot for your papers or exams. Maybe I should say a little bit more about that right off the bat because there's a lot of buzz about chatbots and people using them, and I know that the faculty at IUPUI are aware of the chatbots, and um, we've had uh, discussions about what to do about it. Um, Point being is it's pretty actually easy to tell if a student uses a chatbot, depending on what the question is. Now, in some courses, you might be able to get away with it just fine, but in a history course such as this, especially in a course where I've designed the questions on the exams and things, a chatbot will not help you whatsoever. Um, it may sound very good, but it doesn't really get at what I'm looking for, because what I'm looking for is specific to the course material, the textbook, the specific textbook, and the lectures for each week. And a chatbot simply doesn't have access to my lectures. For first of all it does is sift through what's already on the web, put it together, and spits it out. And it even does so incorrectly. Just as a warning to you, I had a student either in the summer or this past spring, who submitted a paper that was done by chatbot, and one of the clear indications is um, the paper that was submitted included footnotes, perfectly done in perfect order and style, but cited an article or two of mine that I had supposedly written, perfect form of citation. The title was certainly something I might have written, but it is not an article I ever wrote, if that makes any sense. They make up citations, and there was actually an article in the New York Times not too long ago about a lawyer, I forget where the lawyer was, who had a chatbot write his briefs for him. And actually, the chatbot made up cases, and so that's how he got caught. He's in a lot of trouble. So the point being is, it's not a help, and it's cheating if you turn in something that you used a chatbot for writing. Um, so just be aware of that and the penalties involved. Unintentional cheating or plagiarism. Um, if I, have the sense that you're not simply trying to get away with something, but it's inadvertent and it's not intended, we'll talk about it. Okay, so the penalties that are described on the syllabus for cheating are real and they're there. But if you're unsure, if everything's okay, just ask me or submit a draft. Send me a draft of one of your exams and say, is this all okay? But anyway, I'm getting way ahead of ourselves here. The point being is just read through the syllabus, know the course policies, um, and be aware of what is assigned and when it is assigned. Now, in terms of the asynchronicity of the course, you're free to pursue this course um, at your own pace. That is one of the benefits of an online asynchronous course. Now, I say a fair amount about this in the document Introduction to the Course, which is posted, I believe, 3 places. It's posted, I believe, in this module for the Welcome and Introduction, a file, another Word file posted, Introduction to the Course. It is posted again in course documents, and I believe it's posted again in the module for week 1. Now, just by my having laid out those first 3 modules, Welcome and Getting Started, course documents, and only then week 1, what you should take away from that is that you should do some of the preparatory reading, be aware of reading of the documents posted, be aware of the structure of the course, what's assigned, what's coming up, before you actually begin. So don't just say, okay, I can ignore the welcome and introduction. I can ignore the course documents for now. I'll come back to it if I have to when needed, and just start with week 1. That would not put you in the best position in terms of beginning the course. So that being said, read the syllabus thoroughly. Then read pretty thoroughly the introduction to the course. This lecture here that that posted, and I'm giving right now, so I haven't posted it quite yet, is intended simply to alert you to the importance of that document introduction to the course. I'm not going to go through every important aspect of that document, but just to highlight some of the key aspects. That's what, as I see, what this is about. This lecture, as you'll note, the lectures are documents. They're lectures to be read. This will be one of the few times you'll see me in a video lecture. I will be posting a video that has not been posted yet, but I will have it posted in good time for preparing for exam one or midterm one. The course has two midterms and a final, and then participation. And I will be again posting a video of trying to help you get ready for the exam, and that will be posted in the module midterm one, and then again for midterm two, and then again for the final. So those will be the times where you will see me, at least virtually, with the exception of Zoom meetings. I am always open and welcome requests to say, can we talk, on Zoom? That is, I have found a very effective way to communicate in these online courses or venues, because email doesn't really do the trick, so to speak. And so over Zoom, we can see each other face to face, so to speak, and that helps a lot in terms of communication, leading to understanding. And everyone is welcome to request a Zoom meeting from me at any time. And I'll do my best to accommodate your schedules for that. And I encourage that. I really do. I like meeting with you. That gives us a chance to chat one on one, and an opportunity for me to get to know you a little bit better than simply what you submit in the course, in terms of the assignments and the discussions, and then the self introduction. And that's another aspect of getting started, is I hope you'll all introduce yourself. It's a discussion post, I believe, in week one. So in some ways, in a week one assignment, it's not graded, but it's an assignment there that you say something about yourself, so that you also introduce yourself not just to me, but to your fellow classmates. Because even though this is an online class, we're still a community of sorts. In an in-person class, you come into class twice a week. You see people. Rarely is everyone there every day and every week, but still you see people, and you can interact. You can share ideas. You can share questions. You can just chit chat. And I hope with this discussion, I can provide a means of doing that to some extent. And then leaving the informal aspects thereof up to yourselves. If you're wondering, say, hey, can we talk about this later, or whatever the format might take for you. But anyway, that's what the self introduction is about. I've posted a document introducing myself to you, and I think it is important for you to know something about your instructors. What's their background? What's their experience? And so I have posted a self introduction there, sort of personal self introduction. And I've also posted my CV. CV stands for the Latin phrase curriculum vitae. It is basically an academic resume. And so I think again, this is not required. You're not going to be examined on my CV or my self-introduction. But it could be kind of fun if I did do that. True or false? What is this? Or, professors that grew up in, Greensburg, Indiana. False. But anyway, but that type of thing. But I'm not going to be doing that whatsoever. But I think it's important for students to know who their instructors are, and where they're coming from. And that is, I think, it's a help. And so I've done that in my self introduction in the CV, and I hope as a class, as a group, as a community, you'll be willing to share at least some basic information about yourself, so we can kind of have a sense that we are a group, even if it's a virtual group. And there's no chat chat sessions. There's no time where we all need to be online at the same time. That's what the asynchronous part of this is. This is not a hybrid course. This is not even what's called a virtual course where it's all online, but we all still meet at the same time. This is simply freedom for you to do it as you best see fit, which is a positive. The negative is the onus is on you. It takes extra responsibility, and you need to accept that responsibility. And I've talked about this also in the introduction to the course, and I hope you'll take that all seriously. So, just kind of summing up, listen to this video, perhaps following along the PowerPoint slides, which I've probably already deviated from, but not completely, I hope. So listen to the video, read the syllabus, read through the syllabus, and read the introduction to the course, and introduce yourselves. Those are the four kind of beginning things that I hope you will do to get started in this course. And preferably before week one. But if you haven't gotten to it before week one, if your schedule is such, or you think, okay, classes don't start until August 21st, I'm not going to start even looking at things until August 21st. Fine. Don't just start in week one. Go through this in week one. Those things are still assigned, as is the document that's posted in course documents, historical argument. But I'll be talking more about that in the introduction to the course. So that's that. So what do you need to do for this course, aside from having your computer and knowing how to use Canvas, and then reading the preparatory material? You'll need to purchase the textbook. The textbook is Spielvogel, it's called, and it's listed there on the syllabus in the document, the syllabus. And in the introduction to the course, I say do not buy it from the bookstore, because the bookstore orders the wrong one. It can't really get the edition that I have assigned, and it is far more expensive. You can purchase the textbook on Amazon, or there's various other online booksellers that will sell it, and I would really encourage you to do that. You also might want to check at some of the secondhand bookshops around town. Now, I forget exactly which edition of Spielvogel I assigned. The question often comes up, can I use an earlier edition? And the answer to that question is actually twofold. Firsthand, no, because what is assigned is the edition that is assigned, and that is the basis for your grade, and that is the course material. The other answer to that is certainly, as long as you're aware of point one, meaning the discrepancies between an earlier edition and a later edition are relatively small. There may be some discrepancy with pages, with the page assignments. So if you're aware of that and can handle that, as they get the cheapest copy you can find, and if this is, the 9th edition, if you can find the 8th or 7th edition, absolutely fine. That's not a problem that I see it. But if it doesn't conform to the official edition, that could be problems, if that makes any sense. If you have any questions about this, please ask. That's the other thing in terms of not only requesting a Zoom session, but anytime you have a question, email me. Don't call. First of all, I'm rarely, if ever, in my office, and when I am in my office on campus, if the phone rings, I will not answer it. I don't like telephones. That gets into my own personal psychology and things. And so, but I'm pretty good with email, I think. And so usually I respond rather quickly. And so you're always welcome to shoot me an email, esaak@iupui.edu, and I will respond as quickly as I possibly can. So, any questions about the textbook or any problems with getting the textbook, just shoot me an email, let me know, because it's essential, because that's, in some ways, we can look at it as that's 50% of the course material. Your grade is based on the course material, and I say a lot about this in the introduction to the course in terms of how I go about grading, as well as in the guide to writing the exams. The other part is the lectures. Now, as I said, the lectures that are posted are written lectures. I addressed that issue in the introduction to the course document. Anytime you have a question about them, please, again, email me if you want to discuss points within the lectures that you either don't understand or that you would like to debate or dispute. Please, let's get together and talk about it, either over, preferably over Zoom rather than over email, but at least we can start with email and go from there. My role, as I see in this, is not only setting up the course, instructing the course, and teaching the course, posting my lectures, but also helping you as much as I can. That's what I'm here for. I think that's part of my responsibility. I'm not simply here to say, here, this is a body of information that I am going to teach you, and since it's all online, I can just put it up there and then stand back. That's not my view of being a professor. I addressed this too in the introduction of the course. I have a very high view, in my view. In my view, I have a very high view of the office of being a professor, which is different from being just an instructor. I mean, I'm a full professor here at IUPUI, and that means something. You can read more about that in the introduction to the course. So please feel free to reach out to me at any time with any problems or questions, and we can go from there. So that's the lectures. And let's see now. I'm going back, so I think I'm trying to follow the PowerPoint. Then the assignments. There we go. There are 2 midterms and a final exam. And the syllabus will detail the percentage points. I think it's 20, 20, 40, and 10, I believe, is how it works. So the final is worth 40%, each midterm is worth 20%, and the discussions are worth 10%. As I've constructed this, the midterm exams are designed to help prepare you for the final exam. And what's really important for me is the final exam. It is what you leave the course with. In that light, one approach to that would be simply saying, okay, I want to have a discussion and one final exam. And the final exam will be worth 90% of your grade, and the discussion will be worth 10% of your grade. That can be harrowing, if nothing else. Kind of throwing all your eggs in one basket. So the midterms are there to help prepare you for the final. And the way I go about it is, if on the final exam, your score on the final exam is higher than one or both of your midterms, the score on your final exam will replace your midterm exams. What that means is that, in effect, your final exam could very well be worth 90% of your final grade. If you score higher on your midterms than you do on the final, then that score that is calculated will be your score. You will never receive lower than let's say, the objective percentages that you earned that are entered to the grade book. But I'll be saying more about that as we go along, and also in preparing for the final exam. The point to this is that improvement is encouraged. I will give you feedback in Canvas when you submit your exam. These are all written exams. I will give you feedback, and especially if you've not received the grade that you would like, please take my feedback into consideration, because that is a way to say, look, this is what you need to do to improve for the final. This is what you need to change, rethink about, so that for the final, it can be a better grade. Now, what was I going to say? I almost forgot now what I was going to say. These 2 midterms in the final, and the discussions. The discussions are there for you. The prompt every week is designed to help you think about the material, to help think about what does this have to do with our lives today, what does it have to do with the past, and so it kind of goes back and forth between let's take this out of the historical context in some ways, and let's look at what difference these issues make for us today. Or another way of looking at it is tries to make the connection of the relevance and importance of what we are studying in Western civilization to our life today. Because history, as I've often said, is not a thing of the past, as the quip often, it's an anonymous quip to my knowledge, puts it, like, ha, ha, ha. It's a thing of the present. It's what we study in the present with relevance to the present. And studying, quote unquote, the past simply because you're interested in the past is antiquarianism. It's not history, but that is another issue. The discussions, to be quite honest, I have a very difficult time grading discussions, either virtually online, you know, posts in a discussion forum, or in class if we had an in-class discussion, which would be the ideal for discussion. And why do I have that problem? Because for me, a discussion is about engagement. And if you look at those, the PowerPoint slides, engagement is one of the issues I have coming up. Um, and people can be engaged in different ways. One of the best students I've ever had here at IUPUI or anywhere else in many ways. He took numerous courses with me and then went on and did his master's with me. And he's a brilliant student. But the first semester he was in my class, which was in my early Middle Ages class. He didn't say a single thing all semester. He sat in the back. I barely knew who he was. He aced every exam, which I thought was really odd because when I turned it back, it was like, okay, cool, great, that's who you are. Oh, okay. Um, but he was fully engaged. Then he started talking in the next class he took with me and everything, and that went from there. But my point is that I'm not going to say in a discussion, oh, that is a bad comment, or that is not a valid insight, or whatever, and therefore you get a lower grade on that. Nor am I going to say, well, you didn't say enough. So it's not, for me, it's almost impossible to grade it qualitatively or quantitatively. So what is the 10 points in the discussion based on? Basically, if you participate, if you post, or even just read the posts, or ask a question about the posts, what someone else, or comment on what someone else has posted, you will get the majority of the points. I mean, I don't add things up. So it's not like if you comment on 90% of the discussions, you'll get an A, and 80% of the discussions, you'll get a B. I don't quantify. And so you can ask me, well, then why do you get the grade you get? I never had a student ask me that, because in some ways those are almost a free 10 points, in that, if you never show up in discussion, so to speak, yeah, that will affect your discussion grade. If you only show up a couple of times, that will affect your discussion grade. But if you are a kind of regular attendee, so to speak, in the discussions, you'll be fine. And, I usually give 10 out of 10, which maybe really might frustrate some students who are very engaged and write, rather lengthy discussion posts and comment on other people's, that they should have a better grade than someone who simply kind of asks one question each week or makes a comment each week. That's just the way it is. I do notice, believe me, the people in the discussion. That's also how I get to know you, because I will be participating in discussions too. Maybe not every week, maybe not. I won't be responding to everybody's posts, but I will read through. I will respond to some posts. I will go back and forth at times here and there, and so I try to be engaged in the discussions, and I hope you will be as well. So that's, don't worry about your discussion grade. As long as you're participating and engaged in it, you'll be absolutely fine with that. So those are the components of the course in terms of your grade. I speak more about how I go about grading in the introduction to the course. Be aware of the due dates, because this is now as part of being engaged. And this is the section on the PowerPoint of engagement. I had a student a year ago, last spring or something like that, I forget, in actually the world history course, which I also teach online. But it's structured similarly to this, and she was a graduating senior, was going to be a graduating senior, and she had a pretty full semester. So she didn't even get started on the course, really. This was in the spring, I believe, the spring semester, until March or something like that. And she was very grateful for having that flexibility. And then she just nailed everything. I mean, she did a really good job. And so there's no penalty for turning in things, quote unquote, late. Due dates are given for the midterm, both midterms, as a guide to you. That if you are following the pace of the course as it would be if this were an in person course, that's when the midterms would be due. So I think the first midterm is due the end of September. Second midterm is end of October or so, early November, mid-November before Thanksgiving, and then the final. Um, those are guides. So you don't need to worry about, if you're coming in mid October and you're still trying to complete your first midterm for whatever reasons, you don't have to worry about, oh, can I still turn it in, or am I going to lose points for being late? No, but the due dates are there to help you as a guide. The problem with doing it this way, the positives, it gives you freedom. The negatives is it's very easy to get behind. I promise you, if you wait until after Thanksgiving to do this course, and I've had students do it this way, you'll be completely lost and you will not do well. That example of that senior who did so well in world history, starting in March or so, March or even mid-March, is an exception. And it just was the way that she went about doing it. And if you want to do it that way, fine, but then it's going to be a very intense period of a lot of work because there's a lot of reading in here. You have the textbook readings, you have the lecture readings. Some of the lectures are rather lengthy. I don't think overall that it works out to more than it would be sitting in class. I mean, an in-person class meets for 75 minutes twice a week. I believe that's still the case. 9 to 10:15, 10:30 to 11:45. So that is 2.5 hours each week. I don't think, based on kind of a calculation of how long does it take to read a page, that overall take more time to read the lectures than it would be if we were in an in-person class. Some weeks that may be the case. Some weeks, let's say one of the general rules, like when you're giving a paper, when I give a paper at a conference, one of the general rules is 2 minutes per page when I'm reading a paper to an audience. So if you look at it in those terms, I think it will be rare that you would spend over 2.5 hours reading the lectures. And that doesn't count studying. That doesn't count going back and reading through them again or reading parts of them again. But in terms of just reading through them as what happened in an in-person or in-person class lecture. Even though some weeks it may be a little bit more, but not a lot, if that makes sense. Other weeks will be less. So I think it will work out pretty well. But you need to stay on track as much as you possibly can. So schedule time. If you can, schedule time every week to work on Western Civ. That will be a help, I think. Because the biggest problem students have when they run into problems, or the biggest reason students run into problems, is they put it off. They think, oh, great. No firm due dates. I don't really have to do anything until December 15th, when everything's due, and no extensions there. Unless emergency, but I'll be saying more about that when in the lecture preparing for the final. And they get swamped. Don't allow yourself to get swamped. Try to stay ahead of things. And that's why, too, I will be publishing this course, posting it and publishing it probably later today. So you, in some ways, have a couple weeks to get started ahead of time, if you'd like. And I will have an announcement to that effect. But engagement is more than simply staying on pace. Engagement is more than simply participating in discussions. It is trying to find your interest. I don't think anybody in this course, or anybody who's ever taken Western Civ, is just interested in everything. Oh, everything is just fantastically interesting. Find what your interest is in, and then focus on that. Use your interest to get you through all the reading, the drudge work, because there's an excitement there. It's like Mary Poppins. I don't know if any of you have seen the movie Mary Poppins or even know what I'm talking about. This is showing my age. But in the musical Mary Poppins, with Julie Andrews and Dick Van Dyke, she's helping Jane and Michael clean up their room, and she sings a wonderful song. In every job that must be done, there's an element of fun. You find the fun, and snap, the job's a game. That is really what it's about in terms of engagement. There's a lot of drudgery in history in doing historical research, um, but there's excitement. There's a lot of drudgery in taking a history course. You have to read through a lot. You have to process a lot of information. You have to learn things that you're really not interested in. But what are you interested in? What is there? Kind of make it a game for yourself. Think, okay, what is interesting? And if I don't find anything interesting, why? Why don't I find something interesting in this course? And you can, ask me about it. We can talk about it. You can, send me an email saying, can we have a Zoom session? I'll say, absolutely. We'll set up a Zoom session. And you can say, I'm just not finding anything of interest in this course at all. And then we can talk about it. And I might be able to help. I might not, but I can at least think I would like to be able to try to help before you simply dismiss it all. Now, another aspect of that, though, is if you find yourself overwhelmed at some point, and if you realize this is just not working out, and I'm not interested anyway, but I need this course as a requirement, withdraw. I will support you withdrawing almost at any point before the final. Um, that's much better. I withdrew numerous courses as an undergraduate for numerous reasons. I know this university has strict policies on that. There is, a rather early deadline for withdrawing and getting a refund. And I think that's wrong, but that's university policy. I think you should be able to get a refund at any point if you don't finish the course, but that's not university policy. That's another issue altogether. But you should be aware of that deadline. And thereafter, there's a period of 75% refund, then 50% refund, and nothing. I will support your withdrawal at any time. So just be aware of those aspects. If you have any questions, again, ask me about them. Because people who just drop out end up getting the grade of FNN, or FN. FNN is never really showing up, which there's usually one or two of those. And then FN is, an F for non-attendance, and that means at some point you just quit participating. It's much better to have a W, a withdrawal on your transcript. I will never give anyone ever a WF. That is just, in my view, absolutely ridiculous. Um, so, if you have any questions about withdrawing, ask me. But I don't want to be setting people up for failure here. I want everybody to be successful. I want everybody to find something that they are excited about, and will help them through the course, and that you will feel that you've really succeeded and gotten something out of the course. And when you go home or leave or whatever it is you're going to be doing on December 16th or whenever it is, after everything is over, that you'll look back and think, wow, that was really neat. Or maybe in a year or two, maybe you'll go traveling. Maybe you'll travel to Europe and you'll see something and go, wait a minute, we talked about that in Western Civ. Oh wow, that helps me understand that. That is what this course is all about in so many ways. But anyway, I could talk a lot about that, but I'm not going to spend more of your time right now on me rambling about the importance and the wonders of Western Civ on the various levels, um, because I think there are different levels, and we need to recognize that. Now, that being said, engagement is just participation and finding something that will keep you kind of hooked, so to speak. And then I have their reaching out. And by that, I mean reach out to me, reach out to your fellow classmates. If you're having a problem with anything, email me. Problems are always solved much more easily before the fact rather than after the fact. If you're struggling with anything in terms of the course, email me and we can talk about things. Don't just simply say, oh, I can't. I don't want to. I'm just going to work myself through it. I can do this, and then have a problem. But likewise, if you are loving this course and enjoying it and want to just to talk more to me about things, please feel free to reach out to me as well. Reaching out is not simply I need help or I have a problem, but it is I really like this, want to hear more. Let's talk about it. Reach out. I'm here to help you in whatever way I possibly can in terms of this course. Um, I'm not here to solve for you the mystery of life, or to solve problems that, as a professor, I can't really solve. But maybe I can help at least somewhat. I mean, so if you're having problems, issues, financial problems, if you're having problems in terms of um, where to stay. Um, I used to really know whom to send students to. I'm not sure anymore because that person is retired. But I can see about trying to find somebody who can help if I can't, if that makes sense. So at least please keep me in the loop, so to speak. But again, on the other side of it, if you're excited by something, send me an email us doc. Professor Sack, I just read this part of the lecture. I thought this was so exciting. Can we talk more about this? I want to know more. Great. That is all part of engagement. That's all part of reaching out, which I think will help on a very practical level in terms of your final grade. Because if you're engaged in whatever way, it will help your final grade. That I can assure you. Because being involved is better than not being involved, and you will not do as well if you're tuned out rather than being tuned in. That's not. I don't know if that's a phrase, being tuned in, that's used anymore. It's kind of a '60s term, but I don't mean it in that way. But I hope you kind of know what I'm getting at. That if you're engaged, for whatever reasons, you'll do much better than if you simply say, "I'm not going to really participate." Then that last element on PowerPoint slide is enjoy. I do hope you will enjoy this course, which is not to say that I think this course will be nothing but a barrel of laughs and a bunch of fun. It's going to be hard work, and I think all of you need to accept that and say, okay, I want to do well. To do well, I'm going to have to work hard, and I'm going to enjoy working hard. That's what that enjoyment is about, and that is finding what you're really kind of specially interested in. And that all translates into your final grade, not because I'm going to be sitting here thinking, Johnny was really excited about things and therefore I'm going to give him an A. That's not how it works. Nor, that Billy was not really excited and wasn't engaged. And even though his exams were excellent, I'm not going to give him a good grade. I don't grade that way. I promise you. And I'm sorry if I used male names rather than female names. The same thing. Betty could be really interested, and Jane might not be. That's not going to affect the grade. What affects your grade is what you turn in. But what you submit will be better if you're engaged than if you're not. I promise you. Now that is all I'm going to say now. Just to recapitulate, to get started with this course, listen to this video, this lecture, and then read the syllabus so you know what you need to know. In some ways, if there was one rule for or key to success in college as such, if not in life as such, I would say it is know what you need to know. Because if you know what you need to know, you know what you don't need to know. You don't need to know everything that is assigned in this course. You don't need to memorize the textbook. You don't need to memorize all the lectures. So that kind of knowing what you need to know is a real trick, and it's an art. But this text or the syllabus, in terms of practicalities, tells you what you need to know. So therefore, know the syllabus, know what's assigned, know what's coming up, know when things are due, so you can plan accordingly. Even if you don't make it for the given due date, you can at least then make the adjustments that are needed so that you can finish the course in good form. Read the introduction to the course, because there, a lot of what I've said today is just repeated there in written form, but there's more elaboration and more information there as well in the introduction to the course. So listen to the welcome lecture, read through the syllabus carefully, read the introduction to the lecture, and introduce yourselves. And then you're ready to start week one. As I said, if you don't get to doing those things before week one, you need to do them in week one. So that is before you really get started with the course material, the content of the course, you need to prepare yourself for doing the course. I can make all kinds of analogies of what that's like. Everything from before you can drive a car, you need to know, a little bit about the rules of the road and how the car works and those kinds of things before you get going and actually learning how to drive. Before you really get going on this course, you need to know some of the structure of the course and the rules for the course and how we go from there. Now, if there are any questions about any of this, if there's any questions about how to get started beyond what I've already said and beyond what's in the introduction to the course, email me. I mean, that is too. Knowing what you need to know in general, I think, is a key to success. But in terms of this course, engagement and reaching out, those are the three. Doing the work is a fourth, obviously, um, and accepting working hard. And that's what you're going to do. Accept it, own it. You are responsible for your own learning. I say more about that in the introduction to the course document. So accept that responsibility and go for it. I'm responsible for helping you do that in whatever way I possibly can. So I hope that is the message that comes through from all of this, is that I am here to help. I'm excited about this course. I hope you will be excited about this course. And I hope to see as many of you as possible one-to-one on Zoom sessions. And I will see you again in this fashion in terms of my lecturing to you in the lecture to prepare for midterm one, which will be posted in the module midterm one. So therefore, again, after all this, welcome. I hope you'll enjoy it. I hope you'll get a lot out of it. And I'm very much looking forward to this semester. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.